Hello, everyone. Welcome to Show and Tell. My name is Aisha Bash. I'm a cloud advocate at Microsoft. And today I have a special guest for Show and Tell video series. Stefan is with me today, and he will introduce us his special bot solution they built for their company. But before we jump into it, Stefan, welcome. How are you? Can you introduce yourself?
Great, thanks, Aicha. Yeah, so my name is Stefan. I'm from Austria, as you might hear from my accent. So I'm not an English native speaker. I'm working at a consultancy company here in Austria. We're a Microsoft partner focusing around Microsoft 365 consultancy. Um, and I'm also I was awarded as Microsoft AI MVP a couple of years ago. That's why I'm focusing on, let's say, conversational AI and chatbots. And I love to kind of put intelligence into the modern workplace of our customers, may that be via chatbots or something else. Um, that's why I also wrote a book about that topic, because I really think that this is one specific topic which could help a lot of organizations out there.
Yes, exactly. Stefan is an AI expert, so we have a lot to learn from him today. So I'm super excited to jump into it.
Sure.
Stefan, you already tell us your story. You're an MVP focusing on AI, and you have a brilliant book as well. Can you also introduce us what is UrbanBot and why did you build UrbanBot?
Sure. So it was in the beginning of 2019 when all this Corona pandemic started, and I had a lot of time I've spent in my home office. And back then, we already did work on project with customers doing chatbots and stuff. Well, we as a company, we hadn't have an internal chatbot, which is kind of bad if you work on those types of projects with your customers, but you don't use it internally. And I'm a big fan of using stuff internally because that's how we explore things, how we learn new things, and how we better, let's say, consult customers. And that's why I thought I want to build a rather basic chatbot just for me and my colleagues, because we are like 50-ish people in the company, and we have those go-to persons like the knowledge experts. So whenever you have a question about something like in a development area, you go to that specific person, ask the question, and then get the answer, because you know that's the expert. And I wanted to overcome that issue of, first off, kind of stealing time of the experts in our company, because they have to answer questions, and otherwise overcome the issue that you as a colleague, as a guy who has a question, needs to ask someone and maybe wait for his or her response. Because if you ask a chatbot, you immediately will receive the answer. And that's why I kind of came up with the idea of building our very own internal assistant. And it kind of grew with the time. So first off, we just had that Q&A functionality. So we just had a single place of truth where you could ask your questions, and in our terms, it was placed in Teams. So we had the chatbot running in Teams, and you would know whenever you have a question, go to the chatbot called Edwin in Teams, and you'll get the answer. So that was kind of the first major functionality our bot offered. But then I talked a lot of, I had a lot of discussions with colleagues and coworkers to kind of get more insights what would help them in their personal work environment. And as you might know, back then there was no real task management functionality baked natively into Teams. So there wasn't tasks by planner available back then. And I thought of, we're doing a lot of task management. As said, we're working in projects, so we have a lot of tasks going back and forth. And I wanted to provide an easy approach for my coworkers to fulfill their task management without that context switching. Because as you might know, COVID pandemic, everyone is in a home office. Teams is like the first tool. But you would need to do the context switch to planner or to your personal to-do. And that was kind of annoying. So I basically came up with the idea of having task management baked into a conversation. So you could click the ellipsis menu, create a new task from a new message, may that be in a one-on-one or channel thread, and you're good to go. So you don't need to do the task management on your own. You just hand it off to the bot, and the bot will then create the task for you, notify, and stuff like that.
Isn't it nice to have everything in one place? Like you do everything on Teams, and
Yeah,
your bot is basically handling everything for you. And I actually really love the idea of using these features yourself, getting the first-hand experience, so that you will give better experience to your customers. This is
yeah,
definitely really impactful. If you have anything which is not working, which is not perfect, then you will realize and maybe change it in the future.
yeah, definitely. And as said, Teams was like the first or the main product you would use during the pandemic when working either on your own or with coworkers. So you had to use Teams. But as said as well, you had a lot of different other tools. And so for us technical people, it may not be a problem. But if you ask someone who's working in marketing or in sales or in HR, and they're not that into tech 24/7, they might have a hard time going from here to there and fulfilling their work. And so we thought of bringing everything into the Teams as the hub for teamwork, how it was called basically back then, and go from there. And so I talked with my team. I talked also with people from other teams, like from the sales department. They, of course, live their life work-wise in our CRM system most of the time. Um, but then, of course, they had like a lot of meetings with us or with customers, and so they had to switch between teams and the CRM, and the
Oh,
integration
yes.
of both worlds wasn't that of a big deal back then. And so I thought of doing the same thing as for tasks for CRM opportunities as well. So they could click, for instance, a button in Teams on a message. If a coworker has responded, hey, there's a new opportunity raising up, you just click the ellipsis menu, create a new CRM opportunity right from the conversation. You don't need to go to the CRM web portal or somewhere else. You just do it right in Teams, saves a lot of time, and basically hand off the real work to our internal assistant. Um, and by the time we also introduced a new intranet, and that basically also we wanted to bridge the gap between the intranet based on SharePoint Online and Teams. And so therefore we thought of why not integrating at least the news part of the intranet into Teams. So like whenever someone creates a new news article, um, all the people who are subscribed to intranet news will get a notification right in Teams from our bot. So they don't need to, let's say, proactively look into the internet. They, of course, they're subscribed to certain news, and if they're subscribed, our internal assistant will notify them that there's something new going on or stuff like that. Yeah, and so we came up with a lot of ideas. As you can see, we also evolved into time tracking features. So we also tend to integrate products and services outside of the Microsoft bubble because we're using, for instance, for tracking our times, a completely third-party software. And even there, we achieved it to integrate it into our use cases, like allowing our engineers to do proper time tracking and stuff like that, connected to Azure DevOps. So really, the focus and let's say the overall goal is to make the coworkers' life easier, streamline tasks, streamline work packages and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's super interesting. So you try to basically centralize all the tools everyone using in your company in one bot. So bot can handle all the task management, CRM management, internet alerts, and the time tracking features. So they don't need to go this tool and that tool, but they can just start chatting with the bots and handle everything they want to do. That's super inspiring.
Yeah. So as you might know, the bot is here for helping them, assisting them in, let's say, the most common tasks. But of course, If you're a salesperson and you work in the CRM system 9 to 5, you won't find all of the features and all of the functionality CRM offers within the team spot, but you at least find the most commonly used portions within the CRM system. And if you need to do, let's say, a call action or something like that, you of course work in CRM, but the hurdle of switching the context should be as minimal as possible.
Yes, exactly. So I guess this scenario is super inspiring for many other developers or companies. How did you build this solution? Do you have any reference you can just show us and tell us the story? How did you build the solution entirely?
Yeah, sure. So maybe just a bit of background. As you might have seen on the first slide, I'm not a developer per se. I'm working as a technical lead, so I don't write code which should run on a productive level at our customers. Um, Fortunately, so we have really good developers in our team, but I kind of, as I said, worked with chatbots for many years and kind of had that as a fun project started, which certainly evolved into much bigger. But as you can see on that slide, the chatbot, which lives in teams, basically connects a lot of dots within our, let's say, organization from a technical point of view. So we reach out to SharePoint, we reach out to the graph. We obviously have built certain things in Azure apart from the chatbot, working with Azure Functions to make webhooks, working with SharePoint news posts and stuff like that. We're using App Insights to basically track the telemetry of our bot and track the performance. We integrated the CRM system. We're working with a lot of cognitive services out there, for instance, Louis for language understanding and Q&A maker to get the FAQs working. And of course, we also kind of built the bot using Azure DevOps. So all of the bot source code is stored in our DevOps organization. But we are not only leveraging Azure DevOps for, let's say, hosting the bot and deploying the bot with pipelines, but we're also reaching out and using the Azure DevOps APIs to get information on, for instance, backlog items, which are used by our engineers to track their work. And so therefore, we kind of had the idea of bringing as much into our chatbot use cases from a service level as possible. So, and as said, we are having this chatbot now since 1.5 years, and it will certainly grow. We want to integrate more and more products we're using and services we're using into that. So we really have that one assistant living in teams, and no matter what type of question you have, or no matter what type of task you want to fulfill, just use Edwin, and you should be good to go.
Yeah, so I guess when we think about the entire organization, everybody uses different tools for collaboration, right?
Yeah,
Probably you started this project just for fun and testing some stuff, and then it grew more and more with the features like adding this bot into Teams, maybe getting some data from Dynamics to help some group of people in your company, and then you started thinking about developers instead of just people who work with Dynamics. And then you decided to add DevOps, and then there's a part of the team working with intranet. Then you decided to bring all the news from internet. That's basically how we work, right? Day
yeah,
to day, nobody works with only one tool. Nobody
no,
only works with Teams, or nobody only just checks out DevOps. We are basically here and there all the time using all these products. And that's such a nice example to bring all of them in one place.
yeah, definitely. So it's like, as you said, so we kind of use similar products, but depending on your job role or on the work you do, you might use the products differently. So as said, me as a technical lead, I'm using Dynamics, but only for tracking opportunities, which are basically focusing around my areas, whereas a salesperson would use Dynamics quite differently because they track their opportunities, their contacts and customers and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, a mix of a lot of products in the end.
Totally, yes.
So yeah, before I guess showing you some aspects of the bot, unfortunately, as I said, this runs in our, let's say, Teams environment, in our Teams client. We're a German-speaking company, so we are basically, we built the bot in German, but I managed to, for the sake of demonstration, build it in English. But I can't really demonstrate every functionality, so I've brought up some of the, let's say, functionality which I can't demonstrate live within the slides. So first off, to, let's say, track the telemetry of the bot and track the bot's performance, we've come up with App Insights dashboards, and it might be hard to read, but because it's in German. But as you can see in here, we basically get an insight on which type of questions have been asked by the users and which type of answers have been given, along with the confidence score. And so we know at a glance, okay, if someone asks, in that case, what's for lunch, we just answer with a chit chat answer, but it would be by far better to kick off a process, or let's say get the menu of our canteen into the bot, so we kind of track new use cases via this App Insights dashboard, because we actually know what people are interested in and what coworkers are using the bot for. And the same is true for the dialogue. So how much let's say time the users spend in the various dialogues the bot offers, from Q&A maker to CRM and stuff like that. So we kind of get insights on the usage and the performance, and we also know exactly where to improve the bot. So we could tell our experts who, let's say, manage the content, manage the Q&As for the bot, to focus more on a specific area, because there are a lot of questions around that area. Like the Christmas party comes up, a lot of people are asking things about the Christmas party, so we would need to provide answers within the bot and stuff like
Maybe
that.
new answers, right?
Yeah, correct.
And you also use these data to refeed, basically feed and rebuild your Lewis and Q&A maker model, so it will become smarter every day.
Yeah, correct, exactly. And the second thing, as I said, from the news internet perspective, I can't unfortunately show that live, but we have that kind of news creation experience, and in there we have a toggle button to basically set if you want to notify people about that news entry. So if I will create a new news entry, I could basically decide if it's that important to let Erdwin send out a notification in Teams to all subscribed people or not. And so I can, as the news owner, basically, kind of choose if it's that important to send it out to everyone and everyone has to read it, or if it's just more or less a not so important news article I want to create in there. And yeah, basically what it will look like is, within Teams, we have that adaptive card in there showing the actual news header image of that SharePoint Online news post, along with the first few word phrases. And if you want to read more, you just have that button, click the button, and you'll be redirected to that set news post. Good, but I guess without further ado, we could have a look at what it really looks like from a productive point of view, I guess.
Let's see it. And one more question. When you were just converting the spot from German to English, did you use any cognitive services to do that, or did you just create a new Lewis model in, probably your Lewis model is in German right now. Did you create a new Lewis model with English? Okay,
yeah,
so two different models for each language.
Yeah, correct. I created a new one simply because I made the experience that automatic translation from German to English isn't that good as from English back to German. and I wanted to make sure that it's really, let's say, performing well, and therefore it's not a big deal of a Lewis model, so it doesn't really take a lot of time to convert it into another language manually.
And actually, with that way, when you get an English answer or English question from the audience, then you can use that to train your English model. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Correct. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's get into the demo.
Sure. So what I've prepared is basically what you see now is the App Studio, which is deprecated in a few weeks, but I just for the sake of simplicity use that. And I wanted to show you the first experience a user has when dealing with the bot. So usually, if you would be let's say a new hire and you would open up Teams for the first time, this is what you will see. So I'll install it, and you wouldn't need to install it because we're rolling it out via an app policy. But if I'll install the bot in my Teams environment, what it will basically do is, first of all, it will introduce itself or himself or herself, however you wanna call it. And the cool thing here is, okay, it tells me the name and what it does, and I also see at a glance the key
Perfect.
functionality the bot offers. So I can ask questions and the bot will answer them. The bot will help me do the task management, and the bot also will help me with my CRM opportunities. If that's not enough, I can click just the help button in here and get a more detailed help experience in here with adaptive cards and tabs. So I can view what's basically offering around FAQs, task management, and CRM. And if I'm uncertain around certain things, like how can I create a new task, I just click that simple button. So I don't even need to, let's say, insert stuff into the text box. I can just work with the provided buttons in here. And so for the first thing, let's say the most low-hanging fruit, Q&A, we basically have a Q&A maker knowledge base in the backend, which is fed by our experts. So we can ask stuff about the bot itself, of course, so we can use the chit chat functionality, but also, and this is something I use quite regularly, so almost on a daily basis, I need to know our corporate colors. So as you can see, we are working with orange and blue and stuff like that, and we as a company have a really specific blue tone, and I can't remember the hex code of that. So I almost daily ask the bot what are the colors, and it will basically give me back the hex colors along with the RGBs, which is a super let's say minimalistic use case, but it helps me a lot because I don't need to search within our intranet or on my OneDrive or something like that. I don't need to open up a PowerPoint because in there we have that in the slide master. I just ask my bot and the bot will basically give me the answer along with further information. So if you need the logo, you'll find it here referencing our official logo and corporate design guidelines. And so just imagining we as or me, I would work in marketing and I would say, okay, now we're doing a new corporate design. I could go along and say, I would need to track that task because I don't want to forget to work on the corporate design. So in the past, I would need to open up my to-do. Now, of course, it's baked into Teams natively. But what I can do right from here is click the ellipsis and go to more actions, and you'll see that here we have a, let's say, custom messaging extension called Create Task. And this is not something provided by Teams itself, but it's provided by our bot. So I can click that. And what it will open up basically is a new task module. And in there, I can basically create a new to-do task. So I don't need to switch to anywhere else. I can stay in the conversation and say, give it a title like work on my CI/CD guidelines or something like that. Start date, of course, would be today, and I can give it a, let's say, due date. And that's basically it. And you see, we could do the same for planner. Just create to-do task and hand off the actual work of creating the task to our bot. And as you might have noticed at the very last portion of the chat, Erdwin has sent me a proactive message stating I've created a task with that title I gave it for you, with a direct link to that specific task. So if I'm gonna open that up, it will bring up, because I'm in to-do in the web client, it will bring up the to-do web client, and it will basically automatically redirect me to that specific task, work on my CI/CD guidelines with the due date filled in and stuff like that. So it's kind of easy for me if I don't have time now, because now I'm recording with you this show and tell, but later on I could switch to do and work on that task. And
So
like,
there's something for everyone, I guess, right here.
sure.
For the devs, for salespeople, or anyone in your company, you try to bring all of the features in one place.
Yeah. So same would be true if you're working on, let's say, a project like the bot introduction project, and someone mentioned you, no matter if it's in, like in that case in German, and someone mentioned you that you need to fulfill something on a Word document, and you don't have time right now, but you don't want to, let's say, forget that task. So you could click the same thing within the channel thread, click the ellipsis, more actions, create tasks. And in that case, you could also choose planner. So, for instance, work on the, let's say, NDA docs, because it's an NDA, pick a start and end date. And also in planner, what you would need to do is to choose a plan. And like in that case, we are in a certain team, and this certain team has two plans attached to it, bot tasks and support tasks. So it basically provides me with those two planner plans, which I can choose from. And then I basically do the same thing as before. I'll tell Edwin to actually create the task for me. It will do the task creation, and it will give me back the link to that exact planner task. So I'm assigned because I've created that task, and I can work on that right away.
Perfect. So Earthwind bot basically has the messaging extension capability too. Wherever
Correct.
you are on Teams, they can leverage from anyone in your company can leverage from Earthwind messaging extension part to create to-do item or planner item.
Yeah, correct. And right now we have been just within the, let's say, Office 365 bubble. We are using Teams and To-Do and Planner, but we also, as said, integrated products outside of my Office 365, like Dynamics. So if I go in here and just ask the bot, show all my, and for the sake of the demo, Contoso ops, because one of our customers obviously is Contoso, what Edwin will now do is reach out to our CRM system, filter out every opportunity for the customer Contoso, and we'll come back with the opportunities which are open at that point. So we see we have two opportunities for Contoso. One is a chatbot project with a revenue of 100,000 euros. Another one is a Teams platform concept. I could go in and, let's say, jump directly into the opportunity into CRM. So switching from Teams to CRM. And what it will basically offer me as well is to create a new one. So if I'm a sales guy and I would need to, and I'm in a hurry, back-to-back meetings, and I need to get things done, I just say create a new opportunity. And obviously something is wrong on my ends, because what it should do, it should basically give me a new task module, and I just fill in the needed data. So the basic data like title, problem statement, process stage, and stuff like that. And then it will basically not only read from my Dynamics CRM system, but it will also write back without me as a user going directly and interacting directly with that CRM system.
Super practical, especially when we're using many tools day to day. Bringing all these features in one place is really helpful. And I'm assuming this feature will be used not only by your team, but also the sales folks, they
Yeah,
will be interested. So you use Erdwin bot for the entire company, right? It's available for everyone in your company.
correct. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So is there anything else we should learn about Erdwin bot?
Yeah, that sometimes as he's a virtual employee, he's not only he's sometimes a bit picky on what he wants to do. So sometimes it's not that smooth working with him, but we'll get there, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's not only the bot.
Yeah,
Sometimes colleagues are also picky to uh,
obviously, yeah.
work on something. Awesome. So, final question. Where can developers learn more about Erdin bot? Where do you recommend them to go ahead and start learning about building such a bot with many functionalities?
Yeah, so first off, if you look at the, let's say, Microsoft Docs for both bot framework and Teams platform, you'll find a lot of information on how to do certain things like working with messaging extensions, developing those kind of things. Um, and of course, a lot of things you might have seen in here, not exactly the same, but from the concept, are available in the Teams platform samples. So you can basically um, work on those and see how those things are being developed, and then go from there to build your own virtual assistant in Teams.
Awesome. So, you know what? Let's drop some links in the description box.
Sure.
If any of the developers watching us right now, if you want to start building such brilliant bot for your organization or publicly on Teams, then you can just check out the description box. We will leave you some learn modules, documentation, so you can kickstart your bot starting from scratch. Okay, with that, I think we can close out. Thank you so much, Stefan, for doing all this presentation with me. I think Erdwin Bot was an amazing example how to bring all these technologies together to improve the collaboration for everyone in the company. And thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bye.
Aisha. Bye.